Hello and good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Today is April 23rd, 2022. It is currently about 10:02 here in California, Pacific Standard Time. And I know that Coach Ashley is in Michigan. So she is on Eastern Standard Time and it's about 1 over there. So good morning to everybody. Good afternoon to everyone. If you're tuning in, this is Project We Inspire Facebook platform. And we also have a Project We Inspire YouTube channel. So if you don't know about our platform mission or vision, but we are here to continue to inspire you and also share individuals' stories, their unique journey of where they come from and what they overcame, the barriers they faced, and the obstacles. Okay, so I think Ashley just went offline, but you know what? We'll see if we can get her back on. Um, so anyhow, part of our goal here again is to inspire and to.
Sorry,
It's okay.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, it happens. It happens. So technology is sometimes, funny, right? But as I was saying, we are here to inspire, to help each one of you overcome your barriers, your obstacles, so that you can achieve your dreams, goals, and passions. And we want to let the community know that there are lots of Hmong women and men out there who are achieving their goals, passions, and dreams as well. And we want everybody to know that there are mentors and people doing sometimes, the unthinkable or the things that we haven't even thought about becoming when we get older as adults. So please, feel free to let us know what your questions are. A lot of our guests here are very open to let you know what their journey is like. That's why they're here. So we want you to gain some insight, some motivation so that you don't feel alone, so that you can continue pursuing everything that you want in your life. So thank you so much today, Coach Ashley Xiong Vang from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I want to get it right. So she is currently the Assistant Director of Facility Services and Head Coach of the women's basketball at Grace Christian University. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm excited to share some insight and hopefully, make some new friends too. So thanks for having me, Rachel.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Coach Ashley. And I just want to let everybody know that we have been planning this interview for like over a month and so many things have happened. So, as we know, life happens and we just continue to keep going along with it. So, again, I want to thank Coach Ashley and Coach Steve and all the coaches that have been just willing and able and patient to being on Project We Inspire. So, thank you again.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
Yes. So we start out a lot of our questions in the beginning of everybody's life. So, we're going to start out with Coach Ashley's childhood, and we're all curious. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? How many siblings do you have? What order were you born among your siblings? And in general, like, what was your childhood like?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Saginaw, Michigan. I then moved to Waterford, Michigan from first grade until seventh grade. And then we moved to Davisburg, Michigan from my eighth grade year until my senior year. So did a little bit of moving, more so because we had such a big family. Parents wanted a bigger house and all that sort of stuff. My siblings, I have five brothers and two sisters. I am the second youngest in the family and the youngest daughter in the family. In regards to my childhood, my family was great. I mean, when we were younger, my dad, he was working a ton. My mom really took care of us since there were so many of us. And then as my siblings got older, they helped my mom take care of us too. So, but then once we all got, we were old enough and we were off to school, that sort of stuff. My mom started working again with my dad. And so they were, factory workers. They eventually became, their own business owners to help provide for our family. As a kid, I mean, I think it's similar to every probably Hmong, kid is you didn't get everything you wanted, but your parents supplied everything that you needed, right? And our parents did such a good job of conserving and not buying everything that they wanted so that they could give us what we need, basically. So, and then my I mean, my parents, like, they school was so important. Obviously, again, similar to the Hmong community, they were working factories, so they always wanted
Mhm,
us to,
mhm,
hey, get an education so that you can go to school and not have this life. So, childhood was, it was great. I mean, they allowed us to play sports and kind of get involved, and it was a fun time and good times to look back to it.
mhm. That's so cool. So you're one of seven,
Mhm.
and you mentioned that you're the second. Thank you for sharing your childhood in like a nutshell. But you mentioned that you're one of seven kids, and you're second youngest in your family. How did that impact or help you, you know, become or be as an adult now?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I look back to it, and I joke a lot about it, but being the second youngest, you had all your other siblings to quote unquote make mistakes or be successful so that you can learn from, right? And so, um, whatever way that you want to look at it, it was
Mhm,
nice to see them, um, go on their path and see where they got and their results, and whether it was a hardship, whether it was adversity, challenges that they had to go through to get to where they're at. So it really helped us younger siblings
mhm,
kind of pave the way and say, yeah, you can go to school. This is what it might look like for you. Yeah, you can, um, shoot for your dreams and not go to school. And
mhm,
this is what it'll look like for you.
mhm,
Um, and then the other part to that was it really helped. I mean, I had three other siblings that went to school, for college, and they paved the way in regards to like financial aid and filling
mhm,
out applications and going on tours and visits, and then going away to school too. So my two older brothers, they ended up moving away from home, staying on campus. Um, and they went to school that way. My sister, she started off at a community college and then went away after that. And so,
mhm,
also being a Hmong female,
mhm,
it's depending on, I guess, what era you're living in, modernized, not modernized family, parents may or may not want you to go away, and
mhm,
depending on where you're going and how far you're going. So
mhm.
my sister went away first, and so I think it made it a lot easier and more understanding for our parents to say, oh, like, she's not going because she wants to go and have fun and do all. She wants to go, and it's truly going to help and benefit her in her life. And so it's been nice to be the second youngest and to learn from my siblings and to help me pave my way in my journey.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely see that coming from a family of 6 kids and being the oldest. I can definitely say we are like the ones who test and pave the way, and then the younger siblings get to go. So, yes, the financial aid is not an easy process.
Right.
And a lot of individuals who haven't gone to college or haven't gone through the financial aid or application process, it's
Mhm.
very tedious. It's very like there's so many things you have to gather information that you probably didn't even know about your parents or your
Oh,
family. So,
right.
but thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that because, I think so far, like, we said earlier, um, being in big families or among families, we are where we are born in the family, kid line, right? Sibling line. It sometimes impacts how we are or what we become. But I'm seeing now, like I said earlier, now that a lot of the younger siblings are learning from the older, they're like, oh, I can do that now because they already did it. So
Yeah,
thank you.
exactly. Yep.
So while growing up, Coach Ashley, and moving into your teenage years in high school, who were some of your major influences that led you to pursue your college, your career, or your going to college, your major? And I know you mentioned about your siblings too.
Yeah, I think, my siblings were my role models.
Yeah.
They were my heroes next to my parents because, like I said, being the second youngest, they took care of you. When I started playing basketball, they took me to my basketball practices. They took me to my tournaments. They bought food, paid for hotel, like all those sort of stuff. And so they were definitely my role models.
Mhm,
My parents always taught us to work hard, and nothing was ever given. And so having a lot of older siblings, and those various different paths was like I said, very helpful for us younger siblings. Um, I think that seeing those different paths kind of opened up so many opportunities for us younger siblings because
Mhm.
we got to see that, yep, you know, three of them did it this way, went to college. The rest of them did it this way, they didn't go to college. And then you see that you could be successful in either way, even
Mhm.
though at the very end, you know, typical Hmong parents, they're thinking education, education, education. So it was very nice for them to kind of open the eyes of our parents and say, you can be successful whether you're going to school, whether you're going to college, or whether you're not going to college. And so
Mhm.
that was really nice. I would definitely say that I really look up to my siblings in regards to that. They definitely influenced me into my degree,
Mhm.
and my career today, because even, you know, I coach, but I also, I mean, I graduated with my supply chain management degree,
Mhm.
in business, and that was really, pushed and supported by my family, and my sister's really the one that got me into that and going into, that schooling. And so to be able to have a career, something to fall back onto,
Mhm.
again, falls right back into, my siblings.
Mhm. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's so cool that you had siblings who helped take you to your practices and, like you said, pay for your hotel and food and stuff. That's a lot of commitment. That's like being second parents. I think that's very common in the Hmong community, right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. And you, you mentioned that your parents, taught you to work hard and nothing's ever given. And your siblings obviously influenced you to get to your college degree and pursue your college career as a basketball coach. What were like three top lessons or advice that your siblings and or parents gave you that you remember?
Yeah, I think the first one is, obviously to work hard, you know,
Mhm.
to make sure that whatever you do, that you can be independent, right? And that
Mhm.
you're not depending on people to do everything for you. And so everything growing up, our parents, you know, they raised us to know how to, you know, clean and do the dishes, and
Yes.
know how to greet your guests when they come over, know how to treat, people that you meet, know how to love and give back to, even people that may not, you know, could be enemies to you.
Mhm.
And so the working hard was definitely something that, you know, my parents really, really instilled into us young.
Mhm.
And I think right now, you know, as you get older, you really, really understand that. So you just take that and you kind of run off with it. Um, I think the second thing I could think of is, um, like, don't forget where you come from, and the
Mhm.
people that have helped you.
Mhm.
And so that's, I mean, that's huge. I seriously would not be here without my family. And I know I talk a lot about my siblings and my parents, but like my aunts and uncles, my
Mhm.
cousins, they were all a part of, I mean, succeeding even till this day. You know, I could think of, you know, a few like GoFundMe, fundraisers that I've done to help me,
Oh, excuse me.
to help me pursue my dream. And they knew how much I loved it. They knew how much, I wanted to put into it. And so even up until the last couple years, and now you hear support that's come financially, you hear support that's prayer, you hear the support that's, you know, just a simple text saying, hey, I see what you're doing, I'm proud of you. And so, you know, they have, everyone has really supported me through the way, and I will never forget that. So, don't forget where you come from, and don't forget the people that have helped you. And then I would say the last one, I think the last one would be like, never, like, along your journey, you're gonna find people that, disagree with you, don't like your journey. Even if you're doing well, people are gonna say things about where you're at, who you are, and that whatever you're doing is wrong. And so the biggest thing is to not, you know, let those people affect what you're trying to do. And
Mhm.
so, um you know, and my parents, they, like I said, at the end of the day, they want you to be happy, and they want you to be successful. And
Mhm.
so, those are definitely the three top ones that I could think of. on the top of my head.
Yeah, no, that's really good. No, because I'm really learning that there are so many lessons and advice that our family gives us that
Mhm.
really help us stay focused. And I totally agree with you. Working hard, not forgetting where you come from and who helped you. And like you said, there's going to be people along the way that are going to affect you negatively, positively, but don't let the people that, like you said, right? That if they're going to be negative, don't let them stop you. Um, and work, find positive ways to relook or reframe those individuals. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So moving right along, as an adult, um, who were some of your mentors that helped you in choosing your career path, life choices?
Yeah, this is always an interesting question, and I love it, especially because I'm still trying to navigate the journey, navigate the dream, right?
Mhm,
As an adult, I feel like coming out of high school and in college, like I didn't have like a specific mentor.
mm,
Um, I knew that I wanted to go to school. I knew that I wanted to go to college and to just, um, find a career that was going to make me money so I could be successful and live the American dream, right?
mhm,
Um, but so I really didn't have a mentor coming out. And a lot of it just seemed like trial and error and just
mhm,
trying new things and trying to find myself and my purpose in life.
mhm,
I would say that like my parents have definitely inspired me,
mhm.
just because we go back to the whole making sure that you work hard so that you can be independent and accomplish anything that I want to.
Yeah.
Um, I think that because they were factory workers and because they were also business owners
Mhm,
and knowing how to work the grind and all that sort of stuff, they definitely served as mentors,
mhm.
um, in a more, I guess, informal way, right? In a
Yeah,
more
yeah.
informal way, along with my siblings who encouraged and supported me in the career that I'm at now. And again, whether that was words of encouragement or financially, they were always there. But
Mhm,
like my mentor that I use for my career and
mhm.
professional development, um, and really trying to navigate through life. Steve Yang, I know you mentioned him earlier.
Yeah.
He's the assistant coach down at McNeese State University. He's been awesome. I mean, I reached out to him a few years ago, and he has been the best mentor for me. It's great because he's Hmong. Um,
Mhm.
two, he understands the life of, to an extent, he understands the life of a Hmong female, right?
Yeah.
And then being in the same industry that he's in, he was able to provide a lot of different insight and be
Mm,
very open and honest about what the industry looks like if I want to really pursue this.
yeah.
So he, like I said, I reached out to him, and he has been the best mentor, in regards to helping me and guiding me in my career path of college coaching, and really just trying to grow and develop myself as a person. So I give a lot of credit to him, and I thank him,
Mhm.
because we talk at least 2, 3, maybe 4 times a week. So
Yeah, that's awesome because, like you said, the coolest thing is to have a mentor that comes from your similar, same ethnic background, so they know when you say, being a Hmong female and doing this kind of job, it's hard or it's difficult because you have sometimes some roles, and then being in the field too, like you said, you got the insight and you got the real talk, right, of what the
yeah,
industry is about, and that's what we need, right? We really need somebody who is similar to a background, ethnic and cultural wise, but also who knows the industry. So thank you so much for sharing that. And a shout out to Coach Steve Yang. I would not be here to speak with any of the coaches that I've had to, an honor to speak to in the past, 2 months, 3 months now. It's been a series of coaches, and what there's 5 of you, right, in this circle,
yeah.
about 5 or 6 of you, and in the US, right? I think in the world right now, I'm thinking, because I'm like, there's really nobody else. But he definitely, I would have to say, he definitely is a wonderful mentor, friend, and he believes in improving everybody's perspective about what we can do with our lives. So thank you. So also, Coach Ashley, you mentioned that there was a trial and error and lots of, just like you said, trying new things and finding yourself. Um, like finding your purpose in life. We had talked a little bit about that, right? And you share that some of your trial and errors, were hard and difficult. And so, what were some of the things that you tried, new things that you tried, and how did you come to, searching and finding your purpose in life? Because that's a big journey. That's a big road to take.
Yeah, yeah, Rachel. I mean, that was and before I kind of jump into that, I mean, that's very intentional. So for anyone that
Mhm.
is looking to find that, you have to really put time into it. You have to, again, some of it is trial and error, and it may not seem like it's right, but you got to keep trying and you got to keep going until you know that you found that purpose.
Mhm.
And I think everyone's different. As sometimes you might try once and it might take you there. Sometimes it might take you 3 or 4 times. Who
Mhm.
knows, right? All of our journeys are unique and different. But what's important is that you be intentional and that you try to find that.
Mhm.
Um, for me, the trial and error really started outside, I mean, after high school. So trying to figure out what you want to do in college. I mean, some of us come out and as a high schooler, you're like, yeah, I want to be this, I want to be that. I think for a lot of college students, I think a lot of us, not just Hmong people, but around the world, I think a lot of us can agree that we've probably changed our degree once or twice.
Yeah.
And so that has a lot, and that ties in directly with the trial and error part for me is when I came out of high school. I mean, I knew I loved basketball. I knew I did all these things. I didn't really know what I could do with being good at basketball and being and playing well. So I didn't know that there was an opportunity to get a scholarship to pay for school, to
Mhm.
play in college and possibly not have to pay for my education, right? And
Mhm.
so I didn't know that, and so really I had to really jump into the mode of what am I going to study in school. And it started off in high school. I did a lot of co-op stuff in the IT department, and so I
Mhm.
started off with that, and I thought that's what I wanted to go into. Then I took some classes. Again, part of the trial and error. I took a Java class that I just kudos to all the IT people because that stuff is it's foreign language to me. So
Mhm.
I'm
It's
glad that
hard classes, I have
yeah,
to say. It's pretty hard.
exactly.
You have to memorize a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a whole nother language. And so I think when I took that, I was struggling. I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. And so I took that as a as as a sign from God, like, yeah, this probably isn't for you.
Mhm.
So I mean, I kind of nixed that right off of the degrees that I would be studying for. And then I really wanted to go into law. And so then I started off my major as political science.
Uh-huh.
Then I took a poli sci class, and I did
Oh,
not
wow.
like that. Yeah, that was in my first semester of college, and I didn't like it. And I went to talk to my advisor, and I just remember her saying, uh, you don't have to be a political science major to be a lawyer or to go to law school or any of that stuff. So I kind of got my hopes up, dabbled in a little bit of looking into like criminal justice, but I was like, well, I don't really want to be a cop or anything.
Yeah.
Um, and so then, I came back home, had a lot of family meetings with, my siblings and my parents about what I was going to do. And, we eventually fell on supply chain management in the business world. And
Mhm.
that kind of came about because my sister went to Michigan State, had a bunch of friends that they were majoring in supply chain, and it was just a degree that was going to be increasing as the years go by.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was like, okay, like, why not? So I decided to switch over to business supply chain management. And again, this is probably my third or fourth switch by this time already. And I was like, okay, I just need to finish this. So, I went to school for this until, let's see, like my senior year was my last semester. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like basketball, I was really in a stage of my life where I was trying to find what I enjoyed doing, what I wanted to do, and I started to get the feeling that I get when I used to play basketball on the court, and I was like, man, I love sports. I love basketball. Why am I not,
Yeah.
pursuing a dream in that sport? And I just never knew that I could do something with that.
Yeah.
Um, And so I did something not crazy, but not too crazy. I told my husband, I said, I want to switch my major to sports management. And he looked at me and he said, you're crazy. You're not doing that.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm going to talk to my advisor and see what that looks like. This was my last semester of school.
Yeah.
And of
Not
my
a very good time to be switching majors your last semester.
Exactly. And so I went and talked to my advisor, and of course, he says the same exact thing. If you want to coach, if you want to go into being an athletic director, or anything in sports, you need to finish this degree because it's very
Mhm.
marketable. You can do what you want to do and still have this degree. It's not going to hurt you to not have the sports management title and degree.
Mhm.
And so, I listened to him, I listened to my husband, and I ended up finishing with my business degree. And then, the next trial and error was as I was really trying to find myself. um, I started to I read a book that was
Mhm.
really about, it was like the purpose driven life.
Yeah.
I think it was by Rick Warren is the correct name.
Okay.
For anyone that's interested, I can get that exact title to you guys too. But it was basically helping me find my purpose and what to do in life. And so I was really into that book. I was really trying to figure out what I was going to do. Hence the whole switch up of wanting to change majors in my last semester there.
Yeah.
Um, I really got into like CrossFit and just working out at that time. So I thought,
Mhm.
like my whole family, I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur and
Mhm.
open up my own, basically fitness center and teach and have CrossFit there. And so I looked into a lot of that and I realized, okay, I love it. I was doing a lot of research and on how to open one up. And I just said, if I loved it this much and this was my passion, I wouldn't have to force myself to sit here and learn and do all these things. And so after, I don't know, 3 or 4 months of like preparing, and I literally like did my own like business plan for this,
Uh-huh.
and at least a rough draft of a business plan. And I figured out like I just didn't enjoy doing it. I didn't enjoy talking about it. It was just work to me.
Mhm.
Um, so then I decided to, there were some postings of coaching jobs at like the youth level. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I think I was playing some club basketball for Grand Valley. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to try and get back into like basketball. And I'm not playing anymore. So how else do I get in the game? And
Mhm.
I started coaching at the young level. And I love kids and I love teaching fundamentals, but my very first team was a fifth grade team, and I think God like really designed it to be that way because I have a lot of patience, um, and also because I think He was gearing me towards, hey, like, maybe you should be coaching an older group. And so at the same time I was coaching a club college team as well. And so I would coach these fifth graders from 5 to 7 in the
Yeah.
evening, and then from 9 to 11 at night I'd go and coach this club team. And it was just night and day in the difference of what you were teaching, how you were teaching. And so I knew from there on I was like, okay, I want to get into college coaching.
Mhm.
And again, I reached out to Steve, and he really, really helped me tap into the industry of coaching in the college world.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's the kind of long answer, but short
Yeah.
answer to the trial and error portion of really figuring out my purpose and what I wanted to do in life.
Thank you, Coach Ashley, for sharing that because I think the whole like point of not part of this journey is that we all truly go through that. And I love when you were talking about like taking classes, with IT and then poli sci, and then last semester having that discussion with your husband, maybe changing it to another, to another degree, right? Like you said, you probably went through like 3 or 4 majors,
Mhm.
and so you finally decided to finish the degree when business supply chain industry,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So and still that's when you were done with college, and I want to make sure like parents and people know this, because sometimes we finish a degree and we still don't do what we have planned in college.
Right.
But that's where, like you said, where you go back to reflect on what makes you most happy. And even though, as you were talking about being an entrepreneur and opening up your CrossFit center, I mean, I could totally see you doing that. But then, like you said, it was work.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart wasn't in it. And so you're like, I remember feeling, that wonderful feeling being in basketball. And then you started to coach, but I love that how you said you coached, the kids, and then you coached the adults. And
Yeah.
I kind of can relate to that, because I started out with music therapy as my major.
Mhm.
I was working with 16 to 26. And I
Okay.
was like, oh my gosh, that's a hard age to counseling and social work with, especially when there's so many dynamics. But you learn the population that you like to work with, and I think that's
Yes.
really important for our audience and our community to listen to, is that we find our niches as we try all
Mm-hmm.
these different things. And I think that's really important, the trial and error. And so, thank you for mentioning about that purpose-driven life. Yes, if anybody wants to know the exact title and author, please put it in the comments. Give us shout out to the what you want to know about the book, and Coach Ashley can answer you guys. So, moving right along to, you talked a lot about God leading you to find your current mentor, Steve, and you talked also about like God knew, and God felt that this was like the what to show you, right? What you could and go do. And so I wanted you to talk about your faith, because I didn't want Project We Inspire to be limited to, like I shared before, to just having those that have a traditional background, shamanism, animism. But I really want to respect that in our community right now, we have, a good number of individuals with Christian and faith background now, if not,
Yeah.
faith background. And so, how did that play a role in your life's journey previously and now?
Yeah, I think I think that's been the biggest thing in my life, honestly. And that's been the driver of my purpose, what I do, my career, my life right now. Um it's because I look at a lot of things and I say, okay, you can ask anyone the question of what are you doing here on earth, right? And again, this really comes from the book that I read. What are you
Yes.
here on earth for? And you'll get a lot of different answers. You'll get a lot of different things, like, I don't know, I'm here to help people, and I'm here to work and pay my bills. and
Yeah.
and I think after really personally developing myself after reading this book, it was a really big eye opener to me that whatever I am to do, in whatever career that is, that it is intentionally designed for me, and that it was a plan from
Mm,
God, because there is a reason for that. I'm not just here to work every day to try and pay the bills off.
mm,
I am here to help people, to impact the lives of those that need, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years of life encouragement or inspiration or motivation, so that they can go on and they can find their life purpose. And then it can kind of trickle along, and now we can help a lot of people.
mhm,
um, that's the only reason why I know where I'm at right now. And I
mhm,
know that a lot of people have figured it out differently, but to know that, you know, my childhood was the way that it was. The people that have helped me along the way, there's I can think of a lot of different reasons why I
mhm,
coach, why I think I'm here right now, but there are so many people that have helped me along the way. That is what I want to do. I want to
mhm,
help people, and whether that's you're a player, whether that's you're coaching, you're a coach that wants to grow and
mhm,
become better and climb that ladder, or whether it's just someone that's wanting to learn leadership, someone that's wanting to learn how to manage and grow a team. Like,
mhm,
it's all the same concepts of teaching on a basketball team to helping run a department in the corporate world, or anything else that would involve a team. So, um, faith is huge for me, like I said, but you have to be intentional about it. You have to want to um, figure out what you want to do with your life, and you have to be willing to take chances. And
Mhm.
I don't really like to say failure, but you have to be willing to take the setbacks and things that may seem like a failure to you, because in success, if you don't have failure, then you don't learn and you don't grow.
Mhm.
um, and so, yeah, like I said, my faith is everything to me.
Mhm.
I lean on God and His guidance in regards to what's next, and taking crazy risks, and just knowing that through all the risks that I have taken to be where I'm at right now, and I know that I'm not even anywhere near where I'm supposed to be at. He has provided through all of that. He has
Mhm.
provided through all of that, even through quitting my full-time job and taking a leap of faith and coaching for just a few $1,000s. you know
Mhm.
and I'm sure you guys have heard those similar stories from probably Steve and Chance, and
Mhm.
some of us are still going through that. It's tough.
Yeah.
The coaching world, it's not. You see all the headlines of big time coaches getting paid millions of dollars,
Mhm.
but their journey,
Mhm.
at some point in time, they were exactly where we were at too. They were getting paid this much, but they had to give up, they had to sacrifice. And
Mhm.
so, all of that really goes back to, like I said, faith, and just having faith in God and the plan that He has for us.
Mhm.
Because no matter what I have been through so far, He has provided for me, whether it was financially or
Mhm.
emotionally getting through things.
Yeah, that's, such a beautiful story. And thank you so much again for sharing with us. And I really want the community to hear that is that sometimes we lose our way, and having that faith in God or in your journey,
Mhm.
trusting that it will work out. And like you said, is having that intention and intentional plan for yourself, and knowing that. I love that question you brought from the book was, what are you here on earth for? What are you here to do? And really reflecting on that. And like you said, just being here to help people, making that impact, like you said, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So I think that's part of the journey, I think, for you and for a lot of folks out there, is that sometimes what it is just us trusting and having faith in our religion or in our culture or in ourselves and in our journey. So thank you so much for sharing that. So moving right along to your mottos, beliefs, values, positive affirmations. I can only imagine being a coach. Um, what do you what do you believe in? What do you think of about all the time? Because I have to ask this with all the coaches, because you need encouragement yourself, right, to become who you are today, and to make that impact with um, all those players from all walks of life. So please share with us some of of your mottos, beliefs, values, and positive affirmations that you live by.
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna start on the last part that you asked me. How do you
Mhm.
stay encouraged through all that stuff? And really, again, I'm gonna refer to a lot of books because it's really helped me. The author is John Gordon, and I think it's called the Energy Bus.
Mhm.
And he just talks about these are a lot of his books are fables. And
Mm.
so he really talked about really not living life negatively, and
Mm.
thinking of things positively. Obviously, there's going to be things that happen in your life every single day, every week, every year,
Mhm.
that isn't going to look or seem positive, right? But it's like I tell my players every day. I ask them every single day that I see them, "How are you? How's your day going?" Some of them are, "Hey, it's good. Hey, it's good to be alive. It's good to be breathing." And then some of them are, "Man, today sucked. It was a bad day. I knew it was going to be a bad day because, I woke up and I spilled coffee on my white shirt."
Mhm.
And and I always respond and I say, "I'm so sorry that that happened. But you know that as soon as you tell yourself that you're going to have a bad day, you're going to have a bad day. You've already
Yeah.
told yourself that." And
Yeah.
so I really, again, whatever is negative, I really try to flip that to what are the positives out of that, right? I
Mhm.
mean, in a lot of these books that I've read, and even in real life situations, you hear of people like, I remember one of my head coach that had hired me at Grace.
Mhm.
mentioned, like, man, I was in such a rush to get to practice. I was trying to speed, get here, but someone in front of me was driving so slow, so slow, so slow. Well, 5 miles ahead of him,
Mhm.
there was an accident that had happened.
Mhm.
And so, he comes in, he tells a story, and he's like, man, like, I can't even believe this. I was at the time, I was so mad about being late. I was so mad about this car driving in front of me. Like,
Mhm.
what if God was protecting me from, that happening? And it was unfortunate that it happened to the person that it did. But,
Mhm.
again, trying to think of there's a reason for everything. And you can either make it positive or you can make it negative. And so that book has really helped me in regards to my life and life
Mhm.
aspect, and
Mhm.
building a team and making
Mhm.
sure that everything that we look at, we are realistic about, but we try to be as positive as possible. So,
Mhm.
um, with that being said, one of the biggest quotes that I really, really live by is being committed to something bigger than yourself.
Mm.
And I love this because it's not just basketball,
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
just basketball. When I first started to coach, I started to get into creating my portfolio, figuring out who I was going to be as a coach, my philosophy, and I always had this quote written on there: "Be committed to something bigger than yourself." I wake up every morning, I see it. That is what I live by. And at first, I was just like, "Man, this is just basketball. It's just basketball," but it's really applied to everything, every aspect in my life because I don't make this journey about me.
Mhm.
Basketball in general, we make it about the kids. We make it about our student athletes. This is you guys. This is your team. And how can I help you? How can I help us move forward, grow on the basketball court, but also develop you as a young lady to succeed in life outside of basketball. So
Mhm.
that's definitely, that's why I listed that one as my top one. I live
That's a
by
great one.
that one on and off the court. The next one is very, very important too. It's For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. And that comes right out of Jeremiah 29:11. It's my favorite
Mhm.
scripture. Comes right out of the Bible.
Mhm.
Um, and this came at a time when I was really, again, trying to find who I was, and trying to figure out my purpose. And as I was in small groups at church and being involved in that sort of stuff, this scripture just pointed out to me, and it was just like, whoa, like so fitting into what I was trying to do in life and finding out what God wanted to do for me. And understanding that the things that happen aren't there to harm me. It's
Mhm.
all to help me, even if it's an argument, even if it's a debate, even if it's a
Mhm.
loss in the championship. I know that it is there to help me grow and to give me hope and future, and for us to grow.
Mhm.
Um, the next one, again, it's a little bit more basketball related, but
Mhm.
again, it always comes back to life is a coach will impact more people in 1 year than the average person will in an entire lifetime. And I think you hear that from a lot of people, but I have it quoted here from Billy Graham.
Mhm.
So, that's huge to me, and my goal was to make sure that I could help impact the lives of our student athletes and anyone that I could cross paths with.
Mhm.
Um, so I remember that quote quite a bit as well.
Mhm.
Um, Not necessarily a quote, but like I said, my childhood, there's so many people that helped me along the way, from my coaches to family, to siblings, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins. um, and so I really live by the pay it forward, making sure
Mhm.
that I remember those people who helped me, and that whether I'm to help them
Mhm.
or the people that are, related or have some kind of correlation to them, that I'm always remembering that someone like me, when I was younger, less fortunate, needs help. And
Mhm.
so to be able to pay that forward and help those that need it, and honestly, just be a good person and help those that may not need it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Two other ones here. Chop Wood, Carry Water is actually a book that I've read. I
Mhm.
don't remember the author, so like I said, if anyone wants that author, I can type that in. But that was a great book about, it'll lead into the next one that I have here. It was just a book about understanding the process, and it was about, a samurai basically wanting to be a samurai before he went through all the steps,
Mhm.
um, and so me wanting, for example, for me wanting to be a coach at the highest level, WNBA or the Division 1 level for us in college, without ever coaching or without, ever putting in time to develop my game on the basketball court, or learning how to build a team. And so I enjoyed that book. It really, really makes you understand, the philosophy of trusting the process
Mhm.
and falling in love with the process of getting to where you want to be.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all that. And I really do hope that the community members know that there are these different models, beliefs, and values or positive information we carry with us so that we don't forget, especially like you said. And I love what you said about, you know, with the scripture that you quoted about even when the times when like you've lost or there's a debate or there's a conflict, right? Something that doesn't go your way, that it's not there to harm you.
Yeah.
And that's really important because sometimes we think we've been through all that, right? Like we notice that sometimes we think that things happen because it's supposed to be there to hurt us, to harm us, or to make us feel bad, but really it's there to help you grow and to help you push you, as one of my supervisors says, now is it pushes you to think outside of your limits, but also to know your limitations. And I was
Yes.
like, whoa, that's so cool. Like, wow. But it takes a while to really learn that, right? To be
Yeah.
pushed to your limits, but to also know your limitations. But I definitely agree with everything you've said, to definitely be committed to something bigger than yourself. I learned that in therapy a few years ago when I was in my late 20s. And then what's new for me was the chop wood carry water. And I think I mentioned it to you before. Like, wow, I'm gonna have to get a hold of that book. Because I was like, what does that mean? And you're talking about trusting in the process, falling in love with the process. And I have a model where I learned along the way, similar to that process, was just loving the life that you live and live a life that you love.
Yes.
And I realized that a lot of that has to do with and a lot of people don't really believe that this is okay, but I grew up with Shaban, but half my life I was a Christian, and I'm still mixed. But I really truly believe that God led me to my job now, to what I'm doing today, like you
Mhm.
said, to the purpose that I'm doing, that we're all doing, and it's bigger than just ourselves. So thank you so much for sharing this, because I hope that others who are listening to this know that there is a bigger purpose and
Mhm.
journey out there that is for a bigger cause. So, but you answered the next question of what made you pick all these wonderful
Yeah.
quotes and stuff. But we're gonna move right along to right now. So, like, who or what inspires and motivates you right now, and why?
Yeah. I think what motivates me is that, again, I get to help people. I get to be a part of people's lives, that I can help both on the basketball court and
Mhm,
then outside of life, right? I mentioned
mhm,
earlier, and I say this to all of our recruits, and I mean it, very genuine, to the bottom of my heart.
mhm,
I say to them, we want you to be here. And while you're here, we want to teach you how to live life beyond basketball. So when you're done 4 years here at Grace, maybe we've won a few national championships. Maybe we've won some championships. Maybe you've learned how to do all these different moves that you've always wanted to do, and that you get to check off saying that you played college basketball. But at the end of the day, after basketball, did we teach you how to get a job? Did we teach you,
mhm,
how to be a good wife, how to be a good friend, daughter, and how did we set you up for success? And
mhm,
so being able to help people on the court and off the court, I enjoy getting to, um, plant and water seeds that God,
mhm,
has allowed me to be a part of, these student athletes' journeys from the beginning.
mhm,
And it's exciting because, I've said this before, to you, that I've already been to maybe 4 or 5 of my players' weddings.
I know.
You
I
know?
that's like the closest thing I've been hearing from coaches is whenever a player gets married, has a baby, has a
Yeah.
baptism, has something significant in their lives,
Mhm.
that one of the first people they call, other than their parents and family, is you as their coach. So that's
Yeah.
an amazing. I feel like that's just a huge honor to be a part of.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, winning championships, like that stuff is great. It really is. Like it, no one will ever understand what it means to have that. But the real reason we coach, and I truly believe that every coach will say this, is when they get the call, when they get the invite for a wedding, when they get,
Mhm.
the invitation for a baptism or a baby shower, all these things, it's like, wow, I didn't understand how much of an impact I had on your
Yeah.
life. And so, the relationships that you get to create while being a part of their lives it's huge. It's the best part of it. So, like I said, the reason I coach today is to be able to pay that forward. So,
Yes. Yes, and thank you so much for continuing to pay it forward because I believe that that's what all the coaches have been sharing so far, and it's so true. So yes, I definitely love your reason for coaching to help people pay it forward. And you said that you send a message to all of your players. So, excuse me, if you could send a message to all of your players today, and I've been trying to ask this golden question to all the coaches, what would you like your players to do to pay it forward?
I would say, because when you use the term pay it forward, I think there's one word in there that could be misunderstood, right? Is the pay part.
Yeah.
And so if you all of a sudden start saying pay it forward, and you say this to a bunch of college student athletes, pay, like, coach, I don't have any money, like, you know
Yeah.
but the ones that get it, the ones that are bought into what you're trying to do, and they understand what that really means, they know that they're going to be able to pay it forward by, maybe it is getting a meal for someone,
Hmm.
maybe it is helping out with buying a pair of shoes,
Hmm.
but it could be as simple as reaching out to these young athletes that are playing basketball in elementary and middle schools, and going out to a game and saying, "Hey, you did a great job." I mean,
Hmm.
it could be as simple as that. It could be
Hmm.
as simple as encouraging them
Hmm.
to something, like I said earlier, taking your other friends out for meals, or praying for them. And
Hmm.
so, when I if I send that message, and when I send that message to our players to pay it forward, that's what I want them to understand, is that it's not about money.
Hmm.
It might be,
Hmm.
and to know that if it is about money, it doesn't have to be $500-600 to help somebody. It could be $10. Hey, go get yourself a Big B coffee, is
Yeah.
what you're drinking these days, right? Or go get yourself a little latte or something.
Hmm.
Or, like I said, let's go get a meal. Or, hey, I'll spend some time with you on the basketball court, because I know that along my journey, I've had so many coaches that have helped me.
Hmm.
Or for them to be able to say, you know what, I know my coaches would do this for me. I'm going to do this for you.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
that's definitely the message that I would want our players to be able to understand, take that with them, and run with it.
Yeah, and I love how you explain the paying for it is not the money wise. It could be in so many ways. And my boyfriend talks about this a lot. He said you can show people love, commitment, care, and it doesn't always have to be with dollar signs. It could be through that, like you said, emotional support. It
Mhm.
could be spending quality time with them, helping, coaching them with something, giving them advice, and just thinking about them, and telling them, "Hey, I thought about you today, and I'm praying for you." So those are wonderful things that you definitely, for sure, um, your players can take with them.
Yeah.
So given all these great things have happened, I'm sure you have had challenges and obstacles like everybody, right?
Yeah.
So what have you faced so far in terms of challenges and obstacles, and then what have you learned from them?
Yeah. I like love this question, but I hate it at the same time, because I only hate it when, like, you're in the moment, right? But I
Mhm.
love it because, like, now I can look back and, like, to everything that I've learned. And when I was going through it, it was so hard, right? It was so hard. It was like, how do I find an answer to this? How do I deal with this? How do I cope
Mhm.
with it? But now that you're on the other side of things, you can, again, earlier, like I said, you can begin to enjoy loving the process because
Mhm.
you see the results now. It's made you grow.
Yeah.
It's developed you to become a better person overall.
Mhm.
Um, so, I mean, for me, learning to face adversity and challenges head on has been a
Mhm.
pretty difficult task for me. Just
Yeah.
the transition, dealing with like each individual who is a player to a coach, and knowing that everyone is just different,
Mhm.
made me learn to adapt and respect all the perspectives.
Mhm.
So I'll give you an example. Stepping into like the head coaching and the leadership role,
Mhm.
that was a pretty challenging um, uh, task for me that
Mhm.
I never expected to happen so soon. Which is why everyone, my mentor, Steve, everyone, coaching friends have always said, always be prepared and ready for the moment
Mhm.
that someone asks you to step into
Mm.
that position because you never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, so there's definitely been bumps along the road. I definitely didn't expect, but I've learned that like although it may be uncomfortable to take an obstacle head on,
Yeah.
in the long run, it will show its benefits. Um, and doing the right thing versus ignoring or avoiding a situation, I think, is something that I was always live by because if you don't nip the bud early,
Mhm.
then
Mhm.
it's just going to continue to grow. Even if you try to avoid it and say, it's okay, nothing happened by it. It's okay, nothing happened by it. So, um, you know, so many situations this year, whether it was player to player, player to coach,
Mhm.
other team, our team to another team, so many different challenges and adversities that we had to go through that if we didn't force ourselves to be in an uncomfortable situation, we wouldn't have learned from it, even though in that moment we didn't want to be there trying to solve it.
Mhm. Yes, definitely some of those lessons are probably the most uncomfortable and scariest, if not hardest, right? To go
Yes.
through. Um, yeah, I can only imagine, like you said, going into head coaching in the leadership role, if not, like you said, quickly and soon and like a young age, and you're just like, can I really do this? Like,
Yeah.
wow, But and I love what Coach Steve, like you said, what he mentored you. It was always be prepared, right? Always be prepared for what anything can happen or the roles that they can ask you to do or that task in front of you because you never know what's gonna be. So definitely I agree that being really uncomfortable and taking obstacles head on, you know, can be really helpful. But sometimes like you have to wait, like you said, like in the long run to see what like the benefits are. And it's interesting that you mentioned or this was part of what you had shared in our conversation before. I wanted to bring it up was doing the right thing versus ignoring or avoiding a situation will always be something I live by. And you said nipping the bud early, and it's funny you said that because a few weeks ago my boyfriend and I, we were talking about how we have, it's so weird how life lessons come up in different ways, but he says that it's best to talk about something within 24 hours,
Mhm.
and I was trying to yes, argue, debate that you should give it 72 hours,
Yeah.
and this 48 hours was huge, but I love that conversation because we all see like things differently. So but tell us a little bit about doing the right thing versus ignoring and avoiding the situation. Um, you know, how did you come to always live by that? And what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, what one thing is how I kind of live by that, came to be, like live by that is obviously my parents, always making sure that we do the right thing. The integrity is there, being honest and truthful.
Uh-huh.
Again, being in a being in the coaching industry, and I mean, even though I'm at a lower level coaching
Mhm.
in the college, like you're gonna be known publicly to an extent, right? And my reputation and what I want people to know me as is, my integrity, a good person, and so I will always play by the rules, and I don't want to break the rules. I want to follow what I have to follow.
Mhm.
And so, that's part of the thing, of why I kind of live by that, and
Mhm.
why I want to handle our situations internally like that too.
Mhm.
Um, I'll give you an example that we deal with quite a bit is players wanting to talk about playing time, right? Like, coach, I'm not playing a lot. What do I need to do? And
Mhm.
so I tell our players all the time. I said my doors are open. If you want to
Mhm.
chat about something,
Mhm.
you're welcome to come chat, and we can look at either A, why aren't you playing, and
Mhm.
B, what can you do to possibly play more? What do I need from you? The output, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so the and I'm not saying this is a wrong way of how other coaches do it, but this
Mhm.
is just the way that I choose to coach.
Mhm.
Um, because I believe that if that conversation isn't had,
Mhm.
then the players will be upset. The players won't understand why they're on the bench. The players won't understand why they're not playing.
Mhm.
So I believe that that's the right thing to do, and the right thing to have a conversation with them instead of not talking and not telling them why they're not playing,
Mhm.
because at the end they're going to be upset and say, I don't even know why coach isn't playing me, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so a big part of being successful in a team and building a program is making sure that there's buy-in, making
Mhm.
sure that the players and coaches are bought into what we're trying to do as a team and a program. And I truly believe that if we're transparent about that with our players and coaches, that we're all
Mhm.
on the same page, then it'll help our situation, and be able to accomplish things that we want to as a team.
Mhm. That's so true. I was just thinking about the term buy-in. I was talking to one of my program directors at one of my sites, and that was one of the biggest things I learned, that being now a clinical director in the social work field, is if you don't have buy-in and you're not transparent and you're not completely honest about, hey, this is what's really happening. This is why, like you said, I'm going to have you play or not play, or have you do certain tasks, then they don't, the individuals don't understand. So that's
Mhm.
really really key right now to be in a team, is to learn that there's different reasons and purposes for things. So thank you for sharing that. So
Yeah.
moving right along to um, speaking to someone who wants to go into your career.
Mhm.
And, this has been, like I said, one of my golden questions I've asked with a lot of my guests, especially the coaches, is if a young adult were to pursue your career, what are some essential steps that they need to take and know before they start?
That's a great question. I'm glad that you asked this because I'll try to be like quick and I have it all kind of stepped
Yeah.
out. But the reason why I say it's a really cool question is because when I wanted to tap into college coaching, there's not a book that is how to be a college coach for dummies 101. And the big reason is because there isn't just one way, right?
Mhm.
There isn't just one way. But what I did want to be able to do to help coaches that want to be here one day or want to pursue the coaching career, is to at least give them some sort of an idea of what it might
Mhm.
look like. And so I decided to, it's been years now, but
Yeah.
I said, you know what, I'm gonna like put out some videos on YouTube. So
Mhm.
I actually made a video, and it
Mhm.
was a couple years ago, and it really
Mhm.
just puts it step by step based off of my experience and what I was learning. Because when I was trying to get into coaching, aside from Steve,
Mhm.
I'm trying to search things on YouTube, and
Yeah.
how do I become one? If you
Mhm.
want to become a doctor, they have, this
Oh
is what
yeah.
you do. This is how you do it. If you want to be a police officer, this is what you do, and in the order. And so this is why I kind of have it stepped out the way that I do. But step one, I just said, really figure out if you're built for this industry.
Mhm.
It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
And if you're going to quit or know that it's just something that you want to try for money or fame to get your name out,
Mhm.
don't even do it. Don't think
Mhm.
about it. There's too much sacrifice involved with it.
Mhm. It's
Um,
not your typical 9 to 5 job. Now
exactly.
that I've spoken to all 5 of you, um, just I don't mean to cut in, but
Oh.
interrupt. But I remember one of the first things I learned was if you actually calculate the salary and the how many hours and minutes that you go into it, literally it's cents. And I go, what? It's like social work and teaching. And I go, what? It's not your 9 to 5. Of course, it's all around the clock whenever the season comes in, right? And like I hear it's seasonal, it's on the weekends, it's late nights, it's during dinner, it's during a lot of important events in life. And
Mhm.
I'm like, really? Wow. So yes, I absolutely agree. There is a lot of time and sacrifice with that. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you said that because that is the reason why I said you have
Hmm.
to figure out if you're built for this industry because
Hmm.
it's not your typical 9 to 5. And you the season never ends. And I know this isn't on our, what I wanted to say, but I just want to quick add this is my parents always ask me, like right now, they'll say, "Aren't you done with basketball?" I'm like,
Hmm.
"No, I'm not really. I'm not." So basketball is never really over, right?
Yeah.
Right now is our off season, and we're still in the gym 2 or 3 times a week. We're still working
Hmm.
out. Our players are still working out and making sure that they continue to work on their craft, even though it's not our quote unquote season. So
Hmm.
that is exactly why you have to figure out if you're built for this industry. I'm glad you brought that up because it's not your typical 9 to 5.
Hmm.
Moving along here, step 2, have an honest conversation with your significant other or family to make sure that they understand the commitment and responsibility of what this career entails. It takes up a lot of time and sacrifice. So, again, your weekends, your nights, your days, um, very, very important life events, weddings, baby showers,
Hmm.
um, all those sort of things. And obviously, it depends on what level you're coaching at and the level of commitment that you have to be in. But right now, like Division 1, they are out recruiting. They're out recruiting a ton, and they're working around, and every level, honestly, right now is recruiting. In
Hmm.
this season, we're trying to find players to make up our team now. And then as we get closer to the season, you are working on getting ready for this season. When you're in season, you're playing games, you're traveling, all that stuff, and
Hmm.
then you get into the postseason and off season. It's just a whole cycle. So
Yeah, I heard from the other coaches that off season is as busy as on season. It's just different things that you're doing. And I said, what? What, like what? And they're like, well, you're scouting and you're going to different places and you're still watching and observing players. And, like, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So I said, one day, this is my hope, one day I will be able to come out
mhm.
to your off and on season and either film or talk to you guys during these seasons because I want to see it. I want to see what happens. Like, what
Yeah.
is that like? What is life like as a college coach off and on season, especially when you have to you look for your next players or go to different places? What do you look for? I think that'd be a great opportunity to really see what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're like we talked about before, you're definitely welcome to do that. But
Hmm.
it's two different types of workload,
Hmm.
and two types of busyness. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Um, the third I have on here is find a mentor who has done what you want to do. Remember that their path and your path will not look the same, but find someone similar to you and then learn from them. So, we talked about Steve Yang, and he's doing what I want to be able to do, and he's also Hmong. So, um, and he's very upfront with me and honest, and he's helped me in a lot of different ways. So, find that mentor to help guide you.
Hmm.
Uh, Step 4, it's called grind. It's called grind. Always, 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 always. You always have to grind, and
Yeah.
and you always have to look to get better and to improve. Because, like I said, while others are sleeping and going out and having fun, going on vacation, you
Yeah.
have to ask yourself, what are you doing? And this isn't just in basketball or
Mhm.
coaching. This is in
Anything.
life, right? This is in life. If you want to be successful, you got to be very, very picky with your time and how you use it because time is something that you cannot get back.
Hmm.
Um, and then remember that if you're not doing anything, someone else is, and they're going to climb
Hmm.
over you.
Yes.
Step 5, I have trust the process, because there will be seasons of accomplishments, there will be seasons of failures, And there will be seasons of waiting for things to happen. So make sure that you're patient with the process, and to understand that, like we talked about earlier, I'm not just going to go from where I'm at right now to becoming a coach that is making millions of dollars. I'm not. There's a process, and you have to be patient and to follow those different steps to be able to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Step 6, don't forget to have fun and enjoy the gift that God has given you. A lot of times you can be so caught up in your fellow colleagues and that they're growing and that they're, climbing the ladder, and that
Mm-hmm.
you're just in one place. But remember to have fun and enjoy, because this is, like I said, the gift that God has given you. And at the end of the day, we shouldn't be doing it for money. It's to help impact the lives of others.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all of those 6 steps. I think it's so valuable and so glad that we get to record it and share it with the community today. Now, I was going to ask you about 3 of those steps, but you explained a lot of it. But I am curious, though, the one that stuck out to me of all the 4 steps, 6 steps, was you said if every day you aren't doing anything, someone else is. I want to know, and I'm curious because I want to pick your brain as I have been. Where did you get that? Because that is such a huge saying, or statement, to say if you aren't doing, what you need to do or what you want to do, somebody else is going to do it, and they're going to, like you said, climb over you or step forward into the positions or roles that you want. Where did you learn that?
Have you ever heard of Eric Thomas?
Mm-mm.
So he's like I guess you could term him as a motivational speaker.
Mhm.
I'm not so much into it right now, but I listen
Mhm.
to a lot of different motivational speakers, and listening to how they get successful, and
Mm.
listening to their stories. And so I just remember very specifically, and he says it a lot in his stories. If you search
Mhm.
him on YouTube or Facebook or anything,
Mhm.
he'll come up, and
I'm going to.
he'll tell a
Yeah.
story that
Yeah.
says, he says that if you want to be as successful as you want to breathe,
Mm.
then you will be successful. And he talks a lot about being very efficient with your time. And there's a
Mm.
lot of very successful people out in the world. I don't know why I can't think of any names right now, but
Mhm.
um, and they talk about time being so precious because you can't get that back, right?
Mhm.
That is the
Mhm.
one thing that you cannot get back.
Mhm.
Um, and so, my husband's always saying to me, like, put your phone down, do this, do that,
Mhm.
just go home and like rest and do this. And I'm like, I can't, because like whether I'm in season, off season, if
Mhm.
I come home and like right now I'm not in season anymore, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And or I'm gonna give you an example. In season, if I come home and I have practices 6 to 8, I've worked a long day, work practice 6 to 8, get home at 8:30,
Mhm.
have dinner, it's 9 o'clock, I'm on the couch and I'm like, man, I really want to watch this show.
Yeah.
My thought process is, this show is gonna last me 50 minutes.
Yeah.
In this 50 minutes, I can watch some film and do my scouting report of the next game already.
Mhm.
Or if I'm not in season, I'm saying, okay, I can come home right now and I can reach out to all of these recruits right now, and to
Mhm.
make our team better.
Yep.
And you can flip it in any way you want, right? Personal
Mhm.
development.
Yep.
Instead of coming home and watching TV for 50 minutes, I'm going to go and work out. And if I'm on the treadmill, again, I'm still thinking in my head, not that I can watch that show I wanted to watch, but now I'm
Yeah.
going to also try to watch some film or do something that's going to be efficient. So my brain right now is really processed, like, how can I use the time that I have and be the most efficient as possible? So the
Mhm.
multitasking part,
Mhm.
for me, is very, very, very important.
Mhm.
And so, if, like I said, to kind of task or to continue what you were asking about,
Mhm.
where I got that from is Eric Thomas really inspired that.
Mm.
If I'm not doing anything today,
Mhm.
I know that the other 5, 6, 7,000 coaches out there that are
Mhm.
trying to get the same spot that I want are
Mhm.
doing something to get better.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if I, even though if I'm not saying that I am, but if I'm really good and I'm here, right?
Mhm.
And someone's here, well, if I maintain my spot and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna be fine, this person's gonna keep working. And
Mhm.
now they're gonna go past me. And I use that with our players all the time is stop being so stagnant just because you
Mm,
think you're good already. Just
yeah.
because you're a starter and you're getting all this playing time doesn't mean that you don't have to put the work in. And so yeah, that that step there is really really important, is to make sure that you're always doing something. And um when I started this journey, i knew I knew that I wasn't going to be a college coach right away, but I
Mhm.
said, what can I do
Mhm.
to get there? Like, I may not be able to um start watching film or start putting workouts together, but what I can do in the meantime, to help me get there, is I'm going to reach out to these 500 coaches on emails, send my resumes out, and make sure that at least that's going through. And then the
Mhm.
next day I'm going to do something else. So like I said, that's really really important, not just in your career but in life too, is making sure that you're being as productive as you can be with what you want to be successful at. Um,
Mhm.
Obviously, there's self care, there's mental health. You need to take care of yourself
Mhm.
too. But don't get stagnant and content with where you're at. Continuing to
Mhm.
improve and want to grow.
Mhm. I have to say that everything you've said so far resonates so much with me because um, I've never put it in that format or that statement until you said it, and I couldn't wait for us to talk about it today because I have to say that when I met my boyfriend a year ago,
Mhm.
he's like, "我有個 Paulo 嚟，個 you know?" He's like, like last week, like he was like, got the morning a toho kachining and then got the more holu and then got the more projects and then got the more, and they got story. And then a really good friend said to me, she literally said this to me, that she's like, women who do too much. And I got, how can you ever say the women who do too much? Come on now. And so so when you shared this and talked about this and you're talking about it today, I have to say that that's exactly how I feel. I feel that way every second and minute. Even
Mhm.
when I'm sleeping, I'll wake up at like 4:35 before my alarm clock at 6. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what I can do? And literally, you've seen this, right? I'll be typing and sending you stuff at 6 in the morning,
Yep.
or I'll be typing and writing stuff late at night, or I'll be doing things not the typical 9 to 5 because I have the mentality right now, as I said, somebody out there is working harder than me
Yes.
who wants to get to where I want to go. And it goes with, like you said, in life, in your career, in your projects. And you have to learn how to multitask, like you said, and time is so precious. And I keep thinking about, when I first spoke to Coach Steve and all the guests on my show, the main thing I think about is, what is the legacy that I want to leave behind? What is the legacy? What is the story that I would love for everybody to hear and listen about, to remember us by? And like you say, you want them to remember you by being a good person, by being kind, by, caring and helping people. So that's like my big thing right now is, I'm like, okay, I have to keep doing what I'm doing. I can't give up. I know it's hard right now, like you said, even when there's deaths in the family or things are difficult, hard, you have to just keep moving forward. Or like you said, there's loss or there's a downtime, even if it's off season. So I have to say that this has been like one of the biggest lessons for me, and I really hope that Project We Inspire community can hear and see this, because I'm like, oh my goodness, this is, and I'm gonna just put it out there. I think you're the only Hmong female American college basketball coach right now, and so I think that is so important for everybody to hear and see this,
Thank
because
you.
you worked so hard to get here, and went through so many trials and errors. Um, and so I just want to continue to emphasize that. But and thank you. So our final question for today is, please share an inspirational message that you would like to share with everybody to motivate and impact the youth in the community today. So now that they're pursuing their dreams and goals and passions, what would you like them to gain from you today?
I think for me, and I say this to our recruits too, is never let anyone tell you what you can and cannot achieve.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be people in your life that have something to say about what you did or what you didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's up to you to put the work in, and you dream big,
Yeah.
work hard, do the right thing, help people, smile, and just love what you do. and be grateful. Don't forget, like I said, to the people that have lended you a helping hand, and then lend your hand to those that need it too. And at the end of the day, like I said, our goal is not to work every single day to make money and pay bills. We have a purpose and to
Yeah.
live purposely through the platform that God has assigned us to. So mine happens to be basketball. Find your platform and help people through that. And I promise you, there's just so much satisfaction. It's so rewarding to be able to help people and to see them succeed in what they want to do. Um, and to know that whether it was you that planted the seed or whether you were just a part of watering that seed. So,
That's really
I like I said, I've been so thankful to be able to share a story like this, and I thank you and Project We Inspire
mm,
to be able to use our stories to help people. And I would love to be able to help anyone that needs it, that
mhm,
wants to hear the story in detail. I always love to hear stories too.
mhm,
I want to know how people succeed because there's always so much to learn out of it. So I
mhm.
appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I think you're doing great things. And like I said, just thank you so much for having me.
Oh, always. Thank you so much for being here. And I can't tell you enough that, I just am so grateful that, you've been here to tell us what you've gone through. And I love what you, like you said, you can't let anybody tell you what you can and can achieve and have them anybody limit you. What always dream big and work hard, do the right thing, always help people, and on and on. And then of course I love that, part about, um, living a purposeful life through, the platform that God is giving you, or that that you're supposed to be doing here on earth. And so thank you so much. And we are so happy to have you and all the coaches to be a part of this. I call it the US Elite Hmong Coaches. I'm gonna just name it.
I
I'm
love that.
gonna name it however I want. Okay. um,
Yeah.
so I think that it's been a blessing for Coach Steve to introduce me to you, Coach Ashley, Coach Dennis from Minnesota, Coach Chance from Colorado, Coach Steve from Georgia, and now I think Coach Steve is in Louisiana. Um,
Yes.
so all of you are making a change and impact throughout the U.S. And definitely all of you have taught me that coaching student players is definitely more than the money, the fame. It's not a 9 to 5 job for sure. And you guys have all faced difficult, hard moments, and all of them are all part of the journey, and it's wonderful and beautiful no matter how it goes. So thank you so much for making this positive change and influence. And I just want to share with everybody that we want to continue to highlight individuals like our coaches here, that not enough of their stories are being told and shared in our community. Not to say the other stories are not important, but the whole goal here is that we want others to see all of the wonderful things you guys have done to our youth and community. So I want to thank each one of you for tuning in. Thank you, Coach Ashley. We want to hope and continue to carry the mission and the vision of telling the stories of everybody that's accomplished the things that they truly love, are passionate about, and dream about doing. And again, my quote here is, together we can inspire for a better future. And I think everybody can too. You can too. So, but before I go, I want to say I do have a few announcements, if you guys don't mind. So upcoming here in Sacramento, and if you have any, Coach Ashley, any announcements, feel free to chime in. But in the next month, we will be having the Asian Pacific Cultural Fest on May 7th in Sacramento. Please text or email or message me for more information. And then also we have our annual Asian Pacific Film Festival on May 21st and May 22nd. And this is where we highlight Asian actors, actresses, filmmakers, and also highlight, of course, Asian cultures, food, and Asian unity. We are our theme this year is anti-Asian hate crime and anti Black hate crime, and we want to talk about unifying our communities and sharing our cultural arts and love for film and food and everything that we have in our culture. Not only that, just want to say I want to shout out to my Xiong from Wisconsin. She is from Here Organization, and if you don't know what Here is, message me. I can send out the information. She's having our first Hmong American Economic advancement development. Okay, research. Okay, I'm going to try to remember all the words. In September 14th through the 16th. So I want to say that we are doing great things and wonderful things this year. And I can't say enough that together we're going to make things better for our community here in the US. So if there's anything, please, again, feel free to comment, ask questions for Coach Ashley or myself, and we will be more than happy to reach out to you if you have any questions. All right. So have a beautiful Saturday. Let's see, just a few more days, and then we'll have May's coming up, Mother's Day and everything. So take care. And I think next week I'll be out in Minnesota. So if you are in the Minnesota area, please come by and say hello. And I will see you guys soon. Take care. Be safe. Bye, everyone.